Good morning, girls. Today we are doing the galvanic treatment. So we're doing disincrustation, which we know is the deep cleansing, drawing out, emulsifying and clearing up skin problems. And we're going to be doing the Iontophoroses, which is changing the polarity so that the products then get pushed in and the skin can draw in all of the nourishing products. So the first thing that I need to explain to you is, even though that your leads have got different colours on, you've got red and grey, sometimes on some machines it's red and black, they're just a guidance so that you know which polarity is coming through which electrode. Okay, so we would literally follow this and the polarity on the machine to know whether we are desincrustating, which is drawing out, or whether we're pushing in for iontophoroses. I'll explain this better in just a moment. So for this treatment you're going to need desincrustation gel. So the disincrustation gel is literally just used to drag out, to draw out. And you would use that for every galvanic treatment you do. Whether you're just doing a disincrustation, which is oily skin just drawing out, you would have to at the very end change the polarity to then soothe, calm and close the pores and make sure that the vasodilation process has been reversed, so that you're then constricting and bringing back that redness that comes with opening the pores and dragging out. Does that make sense? So when you do the iontophorosis process, you would choose the product, the gel, that's applicable for that skin. Most of them come in numbers so that you know, but it will always say on the bottle. So for number 1, for this particular company, it's for normal to combination skin. So you would use that for the iontophorosis part of this treatment if they had normal to combination skin. Number 2 is for dry skin. So if your client was having a deep cleanse and their skin was primarily dry, you would use this for the iontophorosis part of the treatment. Number 3 on this with this particular company is for sensitive skin, so you would use that. And number 4 is for your oily, problematic skin. So let me just explain a little bit more about disincrustation and iontophorosis. If you were doing disincrustation, you would be having the dragging out part of the treatment for longer, because the client's objective is to deep cleanse and pull everything out of her skin. So you would be doing that process for longer. When you get the disincrustation gel off and you put the specific skin type gel on, change the polarity now from dragging out to pushing in, and you would just literally for 5 minutes close all the pores and balance up the skin again. However, if a client comes in and says, I've got really dry skin, I want deep moisturisation, I want I want dry skin attended to rather than oily, what you would do is you would still do the disincrustation, but you'd only do that for the 5 minutes. That will open the pores, drag out bits and pieces that might be in the client's skin, but she hasn't got that problem. We still need to open those pores for that gel to go in. Is that making sense? Yeah? So, if it's disincrustation, you're doing the disincrustation part of the treatment for longer, and then just closing the pores up at the end and balancing and soothing the skin with the gel for their skin type for just 5 minutes at the end. If you're doing iontophorosis because your client's got dry skin, you're just doing the disincrustation for 5 minutes because that's not their problem. So that's going to drag out and draw out. So just 5 minutes to do that. And then most of your time is then going to be spent on feeding the skin, because that's your client's objective. So all you're doing is reversing the time and reversing the polarity. So this is the new machine, and I'll try and do a video on the older machines as well. Once again, once you turn it on, it says English or Spanish. We're going to do English. It's set on 15 minutes. Now 15 minutes is the time that I want you to keep it on. If you were doing an oily skin, so your client's objective is for dragging out, you do the 10 minutes disincrustation and the 5 minutes to feed the skin and close the pores. If the client's got the dry skin, you're going to do the 5 minutes to open and the 10 minutes to feed. So you're changing from the 10 to 5 to the 5 to 10. Yeah, all okay with that? Okay, if you have a sheet in front of you, you're going to be doing the level 2 facial as usual. So that's, that would normally be done, that's an hour, and then this treatment is going on top, which is the 15 minutes. This is going to take your treatment to an hour and 15 minutes. Desincrustation, so this is your oily skin. You would perform facial as usual, and the treatment procedure, you put the metal part of the roller or the ball, which is with the grey end on, into your client's hand, and they would hold the metal. Okay, if you were using the rollers, you would do the same. You would put the grey lead in your client's hand, and they need to hold the metal. The red one is the one that will be on your client's skin, and that would have disincrustation gel on. Now, because we're pulling out, the polarity that we're going to put this on the machine for disincrustation is the minus. So I want you to think about minus, reducing, pulling out, plus feeding. Yeah? That's the easiest way to think of it. However, if you swapped these and the polarity, you just change, it's really difficult to explain. Okay, you can actually put that machine on plus instead of minus and still do a disincrustation, but you would need to then change which one's on the skin and which one the client's holding. But we're not going to confuse ourselves with that. We're going to choose which way we want to do it, and this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to put grey in your client's hand for disincrustation and red on their face, and we are going to have this machine on minus drag it out. When we then do the Iontophoroses part of the treatment, we're going to swap the hand pieces and we're going to put this machine on plus for feeding. By then we would have got the disincrustation off, put that one on, and then we're doing the feeding. Okay, so 15 minutes we're going to leave the same. Now at the very bottom you've got an N, that's for normal skin. If you press that, it will take it to sensitive, S plus, and then if you press it again, it takes it to S plus plus, which means very sensitive. So most of our clients will have normal, but if they haven't, you would change that back to normal. Okay, can you see where it says minus here? You would change that to plus or minus depending on whether you're doing disincrustation or whether you're doing Iontophoroses. Yep, so you're okay with that. Perfect. So What you would normally do is you would normally use the roller all over the skin, but you mustn't touch, as a therapist, you mustn't be touching that metal in any way. So you can't do this or this, because the minute you touch that metal, the current then can be diverted to you instead of the client, because they're holding metal. So you can't touch the metal in any way. You would never put it on the skin when it's already high or take it off the skin. You would go up and down in intensity. So when we start, we'd have this on 1 and we would roll her until the client says that she can feel a tingling sensation or any kind of warmth, and then we would stop. When we finish the treatment, we would keep the roller moving and we would slowly go down. And you would press to go down. Then you would remove it. So how this is going to work. We've done our full facial, we've got our disincrustation gel, and we've put a liberal amount on our client's skin. You don't need loads, but you can't be skimpy with this. It's got to have a full coverage. You don't want to be on a dry skin. Not only that, these products have got ions in them, plus and minus polarity settings. So if your product ever says plus, you know that that's what you've got to have your polarity on. If when you get in your salons, the products they're using has got minus only on them, that's what you've got to have your polarity on. All of our products have got both, plus and minus. So we can use either polarity with all of our products. And they're the best ones to get, because then you're not buying different amounts of products to do different things. So as long as it's got plus and minus on your bottles, you know that it's doing both. It can be used with both polarities. You don't need to worry about getting 2 different separate types of products. So we've put our disincrustation gel on, and we've got a roller. I always start with the roller first, and I would start to roll. You would then go up in intensity until my client tells me that she can feel sensation. And remember, you've already done your skin sensitivity test. And then we would work our way around the face, avoiding the eye area, but going into all the large areas. It's not a very slow movement, but it is not fast. We would come down the neck. Now, the client may have a congested chest, congested as in spots and comedones and so on. That being the case, you can actually come on to the décolletage area if you wanted to. This is about the speed that you would be working at. And you would do this for about 8 minutes, because you know that you're only doing disincrustation for 10, and you're going to want to use the balls in the smaller area. So assuming that we've done disincrustation now for around 8 minutes, we would lean over and we would pause our machine. Once we've paused our machine, we would change to the ball. So we would unplug the rollers from the back of the machine, and we would re-plug in for the balls. Once the balls are plugged in, and we have our red again because the grey is in their hand, we would place these on our client's skin, move them, press your pause to start again, and then take it up to the intensity. Remember, you kept this moving to take it down, so you've now got to put the balls on and then take it back up. With this, you can get a little bit closer to around the eyes. You can get down the sides of the nose. You can get the upper lip a little bit better. Deep creases from the nose along the cheek. and the chin again. So this is going to allow you to get into smaller areas. So do those smaller areas with the disincrustation for the 2 minutes, which will take you now up to 10. Now, if you're finding that your client is going quite rosy, as in excessive erythema, not natural erythema, from a treatment, then obviously you would be thinking about doing this for far less time. Yeah, you would start to stop, basically. Or you could turn it all the way down and put it on a sensitive skin and carry on. Yep, you're okay with that. So, assuming the disincrustation part is done, and for this client, she's got oily skin, so we know that her main objective was dragging out and deep cleansing, removing all the impurities from her skin. So let's assume that that part's now done. I brought her pH balance, I've altered her pH balance. I've got to restore it again now, because everything is open. Her pores are open, vasodilation has happened, so she's quite red and rosy. Her skin is completely open, which is what we've had to do this treatment. So I've now got to balance it. I've got to soothe it, close those pores, calm it all back down, and feed it with a nice nourishing gel. So I'm going to get my sponges and I'm going to remove that disincrustation gel. My client happens to be oily, so I'm going to now get the gel for the oily skin. I'm going to then liberally put that onto her skin, and I'm going to cover every area that I covered on the other treatment, because I need to close it all up. I don't want to miss a strip or miss the jawline. So I need to make sure that this goes on everywhere that the client, where I worked on her before. So I would now swap my leads again, change my polarity to plus, which is feeding, like that. My gel is on for Iontophoroses. My machine is on plus. It's on pause at the moment. I know I've got 5 minutes left, and I'm going to close the pause in those 5 minutes. So with my roller, I'm now going to be swapping. They're going to be holding the red, and I'm now using the grey on the skin, and then slowly going up like we did before. Cover the whole face. Make sure you close every single pore, balance every part of the client's skin that you opened with the disincrustation procedure. So cover the whole face. 3 minutes that should take, 3 or 4 minutes. Slowly take that down. Remove this one, unplug it again. Plug in your new one for the balls. Make sure that they're now holding the red and you're using the grey. This goes now on the skin and you're slowly going back up. You've got 2 minutes now to do the small areas where you used the balls before. And make sure you cover, obviously, every small area. It's going to bleep or stop because your time has finished. And then if it hasn't, however, you just go back down in intensity. When it's down on 1 again, you can remove this and you can turn your machines off. Now, I'm going to, after this process, remove the gel. I'm going to put on the massage medium and do light massaging, mostly effleuraging, to help continue to soothe and calm the skin down. Remove the massage medium, apply my mask for the skin type, whatever skin type she was. Let the mask work, then we would remove it as usual, tone as usual to remove any excess mask or products, and then we would put the moisturiser on that would meet our client's skin type. Now, that is a simplified version of how we're going to do disincrustation and iontophoroses. So, very, very quickly, can anybody tell me how long we would do the disincrustation part for? How many minutes? The dragging out, the cleansing? 10. Well done. And then we're going to close the pores for 5. Perfect. However, if our client had a dry skin, we want to do the opposite, don't we? So we would do the opening for how long? 5, and then we would do the feeding for
10.
Excellent. When we're doing disincrustation, what colour does the client hold and what colour is on the skin? So they're holding the grey and the red is on the skin, and we're dragging out, so what would be the polarity? Minus. Excellent. When we then switch to doing the iontophoroses, what colour would the client be holding?
Red.
They're holding the red, so therefore the
Grey.
grey is on the skin. Perfect. So we're going to then change the polarity on the machine to feeding, if you like, and it's going to be a plus. Excellent. Well done.